Peter's teaching on land in exile was a really good reminder to me, and I also learned a lot this week. But something that really stuck out was the idea of being sojourners. So the people, the Jewish Christians that Peter was writing to, were obviously forced to leave their land and go walk, and didn't have a home, didn't have a place. And Peter was reminding them that their home is in heaven and to just have their hope in eternity. And I think that's something even us, that we do have homes, we can get very comfortable where we are here on earth, need to be reminded of the fact that we have our home in eternity, or our home in heaven for eternity. And so I think that was a concept that was really good to just like relearn. And also just the idea of being a sojourner. I don't know if I've shared this with you guys before in this class, but in the discipleship school that my husband and I work with, back in the end of October, we had one of our students, there's only 16 of them, was driving home, and he was a mile from campus. In a random act of violence, he got shot and died. And this was unheard of in this area, very sudden, very obviously a shock, very hard. And along with the suffering and the grief that went along with it, something that we all really learned and were also reminded of was just the fact that Trey lived his life so dedicated to the Lord. And of course, he wasn't perfect, but he was always trying to do as much as he could to seek the Lord. And he wanted to really do what God wanted him to do for his life. And in that, like, God's plan was to bring him home to heaven. And this earth was just his temporary home. And he was only 20 years old, but he was a sojourner here on earth, and he lived his life to God's glory. And God decided to take him home. And that was hard, especially in the beginning, to wonder why God would take him so soon and why it was the most random thing that could have happened. And there was just a lot of unknowns. But also the coffee shop on campus where Trey would go every day to drink coffee is called Sojourners. So that whole idea of residing in a place temporarily and looking forward to eternity was already a part of the discipleship school. And so since he loved coffee and was always there, we have a picture of him up in our Sojourners coffee shop to remind everybody that this isn't our home. And so I think just reading through 1 Peter and learning more about it this week, that was probably the biggest thing that stuck out to me and just reminded me of, it's not to fear death, but that we have an eternity that is so much better. And so through our suffering and anything we're going through, we can take courage and joy in the fact that we get to spend eternity with the Lord. So yeah.